What's up, everyone? This is Press X to Start Podcast, Season 5, Episode 27. Press X to Start Podcast is an audio and video podcast seeking to transform the video game media landscape through an underserved and protected point of view. Restorative justice for the underrepresented programmers, developers, and consumers. And that can't be more accurate today.
Yep.
I am your horse. I am your horse. I am your horse, DJ, aka Sexy Bad Choices, aka Did You Know Men Are Trash? That's it.
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
It's your boy Jordan, aka JXpot, aka the UFC 294 bantamweight champion.
Oh.
You'll find out how I got that title later.
Quarantine had my man training. Okay.
Box it out.
Last up.
Yeah, this is Avery Williams, just trying to get through this day.
That's
as much as I can say right now.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, I guess we'll do housekeeping, and then so for this podcast, it's going to be a little different. Normally, we do what we've been playing, quick hits into heavy hitters, but this time we're just going to go straight to heavy hitters and do quick hits, and then what we've been playing because the heavy hitter is really big and really important. But before that, housekeeping. Again, as I say all the time, we have a charity drive going at pressxtostarttv.com/Palestine. I'm hearing a little of a echo. Is it just me? All right, it's gone now.
No, I can hear it too.
Yeah, you can hear it too?
Yeah.
Whatever. After you go to that and donate, you can check out our Loki Ramble, which is available as a podcast and on YouTube. Make sure you do both of those things, please. Now, with that being said, let's jump into our heavy hitter. And if you have not heard or seen anything about this, or just haven't seen anything in the sky, Activision and Blizzard are being sued over frat boy culture, harassment, and other stuff. Actually, just those two things. So this was broken by Jason Schreier on Bloomberg, but we're just gonna pull some excerpts from IGN. Essentially, it's just covering the article. So this suit filed Tuesday in the Los Angeles Supreme Court says Activision Blizzard, which is made up of about 20% women, assigns women and women of color to lower paid and lower opportunity levels with lower starting pay for similar work as their male counterparts. The document also accuses Activision Blizzard of fostering a pervasive frat boy workplace culture in the office. Male employees are said to drink copious amounts of alcohol as they make their way through cubicles and often engage in inappropriate behavior toward female employees. Scum. Male employees are said to come to work hungover, play games during work while delegating their responsibilities to female employees, engage in banter about sexual encounters, talk openly about female bodies, and joke about rape. Jesus. The lawsuit also cites one particular incident where a female employee who was already subjected to intense sexual harassment at the company committed suicide during a work trip with a male supervisor who allegedly brought inappropriate sexual items with him on the trip. The lawsuit is asking for an injunction which will force Activision Blizzard to comply with workplace protections, as well as deliver unpaid wages, pay adjustment, back pay, and lost wages and benefits for female employees. Well, that's just the start of this. Activision Blizzard replied and was basically just saying how a lot of this is the old Blizzard and the new Blizzard. We updated our code of conduct, and they found it disgraceful. I think it was disgraceful, the word they used, that the
Head of Blizzard.
What?
I believe it's weird. There were two statements from technically three, but two are only official statements released by the company. One by the current head of Blizzard, and then one by a female internal vice president or something of development. I could be getting her title wrong, but I don't think it really matters in regards. All you need to know is she's very high up in the company. The current head of Blizzard pretty much said like, "Oh man, everything that's happening sucks. I'm sorry that I failed everyone. Yada yada." He just a bunch of corporate platitudes, which especially don't work in concert with things that we know about, especially him and his past with Blizzard. So it's a very empty promise that only works in the context of this. If there's actual change going forward. At the same time, there's an internal memo from a woman high up in Blizzard saying all of this stuff is bullshit. All of this is taken out of proportion. All of this is old news. None of this represents currently Blizzard. I'm in here as a woman in this company, and I don't believe in any of the stuff that's going on right now. Something to that extent. If I don't have the exact words correct, I apologize. I'm going based off my memory of the events, and frankly, they both paint a very interesting picture of Blizzard that pretty much tells me, Activision Blizzard, that pretty much tells me that A, this is a true thing, and B, unless there is a financial backlash to Blizzard, they're not going to really change at all for this. Because this is Activision. There's no reason for them to change.
There was another portion, DJ, that you didn't reference was Black women at Blizzard are being evaluated differently than their white counterparts, to which they have a different type of, end of the quarter evaluation process, which does, prove does lead to inequitable outcomes for them. So that's another thing that Black women had encountered within this organization.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I did hear that, but then just pulling from IGN, like it's not even mentioned in their article, which is kind of interesting. The other thing that's not mentioned in their article is I forget the person's name, but it's he was one of the top quest designers or something from World of Warcraft, and he basically has done so much sexual harassment that they've nicknamed his office the Crosby Suite or something like that.
Very disgusting.
Like, man, this is all just bullshit. This is just wild and just ridiculous. That
I think that can happen within organizations beyond this culture of predatory behavior is having a compliant HR department.
absolutely.
As an organization as large as Blizzard has, funding for adequate HR services and as human resources, and what their main job is to ensure a safe workplace, either by employee training or education on, proper conduct. But clearly, individuals in the HR are either muzzled or disincentivized for following up with these allegations. So now we have. This is one of the first times an actual government entity.
Before you move from that about HR, I believe because the actual lawsuit is like 29 pages long, and it's all like scanned text, so you can't even search it by like words. But I believe one of the podcasts I was listening to that was covering this too, they mentioned how one of the employees was talking about like how even if we were to talk to HR, that wasn't really that didn't really amount to much because HR was just also a part of that culture. So it was
Complicit.
Exactly. Like they were just kind of enablers. Not kind of, they were enablers.
This is one of the first times the government, in the history of gaming, one of the first times a government entity stepped in for a lawsuit. For the most part, it's been civil, to which they are, sorted outside of the, actual judicial court. I think Hot Coffee was an instance where a government entity had sued a company. But yeah, this is a high watermark in the history of gaming where the government has to step in and police an industry. It happens, and when it does, everyone's on notice. This feels a lot like a Gamergate situation, but we are now post Me Too, to which a lot of changes are going to have to happen.
Yeah, everyone is more attentive towards situations like this now versus back in Gamergate where it was just like, oh, that's really messed up, but it just didn't have enough. I guess I hate to use the word, but people weren't quote unquote woke enough at that time.
And Gamergate also had the juice of we were still in a pre quote unquote woke era where you're allowed to. There was enough people, and you're allowed to get away with those views and not feel any repercussions. And then we slowly developed into a society that pushes back against that like policing those elements as anything but problematic, to the point where we got a president who all but represents the end goals of what Gamergate ultimately exemplifies. I agree with everything Jordan's saying. This is I've never had, well, that's not true. Activision Blizzard is a weird company for me in that I've always considered them two companies, even though they're technically one big company. I've never given a shit about anything Activision has put out. I play Call of Duties every once in a while, but I only play the single player, and that's like me playing it for like 2 to 3 days and then never touching it again. Sekiro is the last fucking Activision game I bought, but that's like Sekiro. Like all they did was publish that game. They didn't really have anything deal. That was all From. They just gave From the publishing rights for that, which I don't even know the details of that. I've always cared about the Blizzard standpoint of this, so nothing was more disconcerting. So in my head, I've always said Activision bad, Blizzard good. In my head. And then,
oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then when I read the details, and this is like, no, this is not even Activision. Activision has its own problems, but this is mostly like internal Blizzard bullshit coming to the surface. I cannot, in good conscience, right now, and going forward, until there's actual major recognizable change in this organization, put any money down for an Activision and or Blizzard game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this, I really hope there is movement and there is a big push to just not support the next Call of Duty game and whatever with Overwatch 2, because like we don't even know when Overwatch 2 is coming out, but like
we don't know when Call of Duty's coming out. It hasn't been announced yet.
Well, that's true. You're right. Yeah, but like, this is just there's no way anyone should be able to look at this and think, okay, well, it's not all bad. It's all fucking bad. It's all bad.
There are a lot of women streamers in Warzone. I wonder if there's going to be in consorted effort on that part.
That's in regards to, because that's something I started to think.
Wait, real quick. Before we go down this, I wanted to bring up the whole Crosby suite thing. I actually found a blurb about it. So this comes from The Verge. The person, it's Alex. Fuck his last name. I don't know. Whatever. The former senior creative director of World of Warcraft at Blizzard Entertainment was permitted to engage in blatant sexual harassment with little to no repercussions during a company event, an annual convention at BlizzCon, or basically BlizzCon. Alex would hit on female employees, tell them he wanted to marry them, attempt to kiss them, and putting his arms around them. This was a plain view. This was in plain view of other male employees, including supervisors, who would just intervene and pull him off female employees. Alex was also known to engage in harassment of females Alex was also known to engage in harassment of females that his suite was nicknamed the Crosby Suite, after alleged rapist Bill Cosby. Yeah.
So yeah, he's a predator.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was allowed to retain his job.
Yeah. Enabled. Yeah. Like that's just all fucked.
Yeah. In regards to because I pay attention to a lot of the Twitch scene, there is large communities of World of Warcraft streamers and Warzone Call of Duty streamers in particular. And this is a difficult thing to how would I say this? Traverse, especially if your main source of income for your life is playing a specific game.
Yeah. Like, it's tied to money, it's hard to pull away from it.
As we are in a place of privilege where at no point of our lives is tied to any of these companies, fundamentally, outside of quote unquote enjoyment of a minor enjoyment, cutting them out of our lives won't affect us in any way, shape, or form. But for Twitch streamers in general, don't. This is me talking. Don't go to them and tell them, "Hey, do X, Y, and Z. You need to do X, Y, and Z."
Yeah, no, I totally get that, because it is a different task for them, because they can't necessarily do that and
if that
be financially secure.
Yeah, if that streamer is smart, and if that streamer is wants to be part of the solution, they will do things like the organized mass protests in World of Warcraft. And that's something that if you my big thing is these companies aren't going to change unless their bottom line is strong. If you're playing World of Warcraft casually and you just see half the server in one place sitting down doing nothing, you're suddenly going to wonder what the hell is going on in this game, and maybe you'll find out what's going on. If you're Asmongold is one of the bigger World of Warcraft streamers, and I think he's pretty much put out a statement how he feels about this subject. Remind your 1,000 people chat every time they show up, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I feel about the matter, and this is what I'm doing to support this. There are things you can do. I'm talking specifically for them. There are things they can do to be a part of the solution while still maintaining their livelihood. But for the rest of us, for the people on the outside who don't think as a part of the community, I don't think it's as I said earlier, I don't think you should willingly give them any money until this shit is handled at all. And my big fear is Call of Duty, especially Warzone, is such a big game, and this is me, and this is my personal opinion, has probably the most toxically casual audience that will they care about this? Will this affect them in any way, shape, or form? And if it doesn't, then we get to the problem where it's not going to change.
The worst question is, will shit like this embolden them to be like, oh yeah, okay, that's funny, because you know that there's a certain demographic of people who is just feeds off of this shit, and it's just, it's so frustrating. But real quick, before we jump, just to put a pin on the whole World of Warcraft stuff. So this, I just pulled this real quick. This is from Polygon. Why World of Warcraft players are protesting developer Blizzard in game. So the protest was organized by Fence Macabre. I'm definitely not pronouncing that right. A role-playing guild that runs faction-neutral stories on the Wormrest Accord and Moonguard servers. In addition, the group is running a fundraising campaign for the charity Black Girls Code, a non-profit organization dedicated to teaching girls ages 7 through 17 about computer programming and digital technology, which is awesome. So continue.
Yeah, those popped up. This is one of those, and one of the most horrifying aspects of this is that as big as this is, it is emblematic of an issue that is industry-wide. This is the maybe 100%, third in the last year and a half that we heard within a major company in this culture that has probably been set in since when video games was an old boys club and never changed, even though it's evolved and gotten more diverse, and no one's ever taken the time to address. I know a lot of prominent women I follow on the video game industry have shared stories like this, and have told, and pretty much all pretty much said, hey, this is what's going on in major companies right now, in all major companies, and it's not being dealt with in any way, shape, or form. And it's incredibly. This is one of those moments where it's there's a period of time where we were trying to reclaim what an idea of a gamer was, that we weren't going to let people like Gamergate and those things take us define what we were. But moments like this are one of those punches in the gut where nah, man, this is what we were. That's exactly this is what we always were.
Yep. Yeah. It's you can take a pin in this and do a straight line to what people thought how far we progressed in America before Trump got into office. And then during his term, people were like, oh my God, racism is still a thing? This is great. There's so many people who think this way. It's yeah, this is surprise. Man, this is all just, again, I can just keep saying it because I just, it's one of those things where I'm not surprised by this because so I think I don't know if Riot was the first shoe to drop, but it's one of those things where
Riot was the first shoe to drop.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was the first major studio that we started hearing these reports out of.
Right. Okay. So yeah, when that stuff happened in Riot, it was very much so like I don't feel like this is a I don't feel like this is an outlier to the industry as a whole, because like we did before, I think before that we did get reports from like different different women in the industry during the whole Me Too movement, like coming out and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, this is probably going to get bad, and surprise, it definitely got worse. And I feel like, again, it's one of those things. This definitely is not the last. There's definitely more coming, and it's just all bad.
Yeah. Well, in that regards to more coming, like this is a side story that I'm not really going to address as all, but it's also changed my feelings on another company. At the same time as this story dropped, another story dropped about Skull and Bones, and one of the core reasons that game is taking 8 years to come out and is still in development hell. And it also exemplifies the problem that Ubisoft had last year. That they kind of swept under the rug, addressed that they were changing, even though they didn't do the work that we wanted them to do. But they quote unquote changed everything, yada yada. But like the parties responsible for some of the problems at Ubisoft in regards to that game, all they did was get moved away. They didn't get dealt with. They got moved away. Yeah. They got dealt like a Catholic priest who diddles kids. Let's just remove them from the problem, just not deal with it instead of dealing with the problem itself. Right. And it's one of those things where, like, as much as I fucking love Ubisoft games and how for a period of time they were my favorite publisher, like I can't in good conscience also put money down to play their games when they frankly haven't learned from their past mistakes at all.
Right. Yeah. Man, like
divestment. That's what Avery's highlighting. It's a new concept that organized protests can be, and as we get closer and closer to the fall and we see our Overwatch updates, we see, possibly a Call of Duty and, the slated Far Cry 6 to come out. We'll see how many, gamers follow suit and, vote with their money. Yeah, or at least get the games at a reduced cost.
That's my game plan with Far Cry. Like, I'm too invested in that game to not want to play it.
Yeah,
but I don't want to see Grand Moff Gideon take over the country.
My game plan with that game is I'm going to GameStop and I'm buying that game from GameStop used.
True.
Like,
true.
Day two, that's what I'm doing. Ubisoft will get none of that money. I will be able to enjoy that game and at least be able to vocalize my support for the work those developers did.
Yeah.
Without having to do that. But for everything else after that, I'm like persona non grata. There's nothing they can do, frankly, without addressing these problems to appease me personally.
Like the hard part for me, it's like, as it is right now, I am very much so in the camp of like, I'm probably not gonna touch Call of Duty until I see them do, or I see them like have action in a positive way. But like at the same time, it's one of those things where, reading the suit, it says like the women in the studio basically was doing double duty. Like they were doing the work of the men. So it's just like,
you get to that.
Go ahead.
You get to that point. I'm sorry for interrupting. We get to that point where, remember when we were having these Quantic Dream conversations ages ago? Where like we were talking about how do we deal with that studio based on everything we know about that now, and like you get to that hard place where like all the shit that goes on doesn't negate the work that went down, and especially when you hear the breakdown of this news where, because the men in the studios were essentially not doing any work and the work is being forced on women, it's even the onus is more, the quality and success of the game is more on them than anything else.
It just hit me. I wonder if part of this was what happened with the last Call of Duty game, why they had to pull in another studio to help them like finish the game. Because this happened within, like, this investigation was going on for 2 years,
There's another studio working with Treyarch to do Cold War.
Well, yeah, like Cold War was not like when did Black Ops 4 come out? Because Black Ops 4 was the game.
Came out
Black
like
Ops,
back in
I think
2016, maybe.
No, Black Ops 4 was the game before Cold War.
Right.
And that was the game where they had to bring in that team had to come in and do that game because the team, I think the Cold War team, wasn't ready for their game to come out.
I think Sledgehammer had to help Treyarch to get the Treyarch game out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Black Ops 4 came out in 2018.
2018. Okay.
But the most recent one that Treyarch worked on was Cold War, which came out last year.
Right. Okay. So wait, Black Ops 4 is different from Cold War?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not anymore because of Warzone.
Right. Yeah. I think that's where like my brain meshes everything. But okay.
Black Ops 4 came out in 2018. Call of Duty Cold War came out in 2020.
Okay.
2 separate games.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess just to follow up, this also comes from IGN. So Blizzard co-founder Mike Morhaime, the women of Blizzard. He is basically the ex-CEO of Blizzard. He says, I've read the full complaint against Activision Blizzard and many of the other stories. It's all very disturbing and difficult to read. I'm ashamed. It feels like everything I thought I stood for has been washed away. What's worse, comma. No. There should be no. Okay. What's worse, but even more important, real people have been harmed, and some women had terrible experiences. He goes on to say that he wants to work with the women affected and just people, like I guess all people affected, to use his power and influence to push forward change, which is good. One of those things like, okay, that's cool that you said that, but
like, does he have any active power in the organization, or is he just a figurehead in which people can speak through? That's the question.
I think it's more so the latter than the former.
Yeah.
His whole statement just felt like he was, covering his ass and trying to come out saying that he's a vanguard of a healthy work culture, which, I mean, this is the opposite of it. There's a lot of I's in this statement, a lot of personalization instead of speaking truth, and the speak your truth type narrative. He was pushing that in his in his write up, and I'm like, dude, shut up. Just stop talking. Just accept the fact that you failed, and we'll see what type of repercussions occur with your investors, who have a tremendous amount of power in terms of who is in that organization's hierarchy.
Yeah,
he'll probably be out of a job.
Well, I don't know what he's doing right now.
I don't think he works for Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't work for them anymore.
Yeah.
But
because the current head of Blizzard is like let's ignore the fact that they already went through the Hong Kong shit over the last 3 years, and they didn't really handle that correctly. They just kind of like, hey, we made a mistake. Let's move on. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's whatever. Move on. We all move on collectively. We all stop talking about it. We're all sort of guilty of allowing that to slide because they showed off Diablo 4. But what's really frustrating is like we all sort of have you all seen the video of a World of Warcraft panel in which a female fan of World of Warcraft goes to the creative heads of the WoW team and says, hey man, I love your game, I'm a big fan. That being said, can we not have all your female characters look like they came out of a swimsuit model catalog? And the heads of Blizzard being like, yeah, whatever, and yada yada, moved on. And it's like, that is the man who then gave us this statement.
Right. I think that this speaks to what type of company Tencent is. Because to believe that Tencent went forward with that multiple $billion purchase of Blizzard and Activision and had no clue such behavior was occurring, that's a false statement. Tencent is a very I'm very suspicious of that company and how they, you know, are fine. I think they're somewhat fine with shit like this, to be honest.
they're
I
a
mean, at least
Chinese company.
until well, I mean, I don't think it's because they're a Chinese company, but I will say that Tencent is a company with a suspicious track record of becoming more and more suspicious in terms of how they manage their properties. So it's kind of like
I even wonder.
the more you know, they'll come up again later on in our conversation.
I even wonder if it's just just an exchange of money where it's just they don't even
They only have
care
5%
to look.
stake, and they have only 5% stake in Activision
Okay.
Blizzard. They don't really have any creative control in that organization.
Okay.
They own 100% of Riot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And-
Yep.
We saw what happened with Riot.
Yeah.
Well-
All right. Well, you know.
Well, as someone who plays Riot games and had to pay attention to the community, Riot has done from at least from the outside in. No one knows but the people who work at Riot. They've done a good enough job at addressing some of their major issues and taking stock of that. Will Activision Blizzard do the same thing? I don't think so. Like, if Call of Duty if Warzone still succeeds at the levels it's doing, and WoW still is trucking at the levels it's doing, there's going to be no onus on those companies outside of their public brand. But then, like, has Activision Blizzard ever given a shit about their public brand? This is the company that's run all their individual game studios into the ground into Call of Duty support studios.
True.
Like,
Yep. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, they
focus on the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You know, we'll be following this when things change and hopefully things get better. But
we can always get one of our legal friends to come in and tell us what the fuck's going on with this lawsuit itself, all the technical aspects of it.
You know what?
Maybe Doug will have an opinion.
Right. Whenever he's not busy
being a lawyer.
Right. But with that being said, we are going to jump to our sponsors. Our sponsors us. Check out our YouTube page because, as I said earlier, we have a Loki ramble that we would love for you to watch and listen because it is great and we get into multiverse stuff. Fun. Yeah. You know, Marcus, do that thing. Sponsor us, Marcus. And we're back. Now it is time for the quick hits. Number one. This comes from GameSpot, but EA had their EA Play Live, and they showed a number of games. Okay, we'll actually just start with the order of games they showed. First up was Grid Legends. Jordan, how'd you feel about this? How'd you feel about Grid Legends?
I mean, FMV is just such a weird thing in video games, like having live action shit. Because last time EA did it was with one of the old Need for Speeds. Even
oh yeah,
actually the Need for Speed reboot, but the most recent one, Need for Speed, had no FMV, and still was a pretty good production, you know, with the 3D models and all that shit. But yeah, they wanna bring back real actors, and I mean, I do think the characters that they're introducing are pretty fun. But it does go into an old Grid because this is going to be the second time they've rebooted it. And the old Grid had like this pretty cool rivalry system in it. So, hey, they want to knock yourself out, EA. Let's see if this one will stick. Because like the reboot back in 2018 or something like that was trash.
Well, this
as a fan of the series.
So, before we move on, this doesn't sound like EA trying to make this attempt. So much this is Codemasters. This was their original plan, and they happened to get bought by EA, who now has to put out this game.
Oh.
Yeah, so the beginning of this started with Xavier Woods, who was hosting Austin Creed, Up, Down, Down of the WWE. He pointed out that, hey, EA bought Codemasters, and then they listed a bunch of racing titles that EA got their hands on. And if the timeline of when this game, the announcement, and Codemasters, the buy, EA would have had no hand in the development of this game, so much they would have just been obligated to put this game out because this is what they are working on now currently. But I'm excited for it. I'll play any type of game if you give me a story mode. And of the racing game, and of the racing games being announced as of yet, this is the only one that seems to have a dedicated story mode. So, and it's got good actors that I actually like. So, I'm interested in it.
Yeah, as a fan of the great series, we'll see if this can redeem the most recent reboot back in 2018. We'll see.
Yeah, like for me, this was just interesting to watch because I was I had one eye on it. I think I was doing something else at the time, and it went from racing to like real people, and I was like, "Is this the same thing? Like, what is this? Just a cutscene for the game? Like, what is happening?" And then later on, I went back and I rewatched the whole thing, and I saw like they were actually talking about the tech that they use for this, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool."
The same tech from Mandalorian or some shit.
Yeah.
What's super funny is we were watching this in our group chat, and I think at some point they came out and said we're using the same tech from the Mandalorian. I don't know which one of you jamokes then went into the fucking chat and was like, "Huh, it looks like they're using the same tech from the Mandalorian." Like you were just guessing. That's what they were doing. Don't the fact they said it.
Yeah, it wasn't me because I didn't know at all. But the next game they showed was Knockout City Season 2. This was also a little confusing for me too because again, I was like, what is going on? Is this stage like changing? I feel like I think we talked about this one a little bit in the chat and said that this Knockout City needs product placement. It's like how
it's right
Fallout,
for it.
yeah,
Fall Guys and
Fall Guys. I almost said Fallout Boys. Boy. Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that's the step they need to take. Like this whole in the movies thing is cool, but it doesn't really have the weight of like pulling a big franchise into this game and like doing a bunch of skins for it. Like, you know.
Yeah,
like
I played Knockout City all the way up until rank, and then I just got bored of it because fuckers got mad tough.
Really good.
You know, and if you're not communicating with your partners, you're gonna lose all the time. But I mean, it needs a bit of a refresh. It doesn't have the same pop as it did when it first came out.
Yeah. Avery, did you play Knockout City a little bit?
No, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm genuinely surprised, especially after the last sort of small multiplayer indie game EA put out, which was that Rocket Arena, that this game still has the legs that it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Knockout City. Oh, go ahead.
So good for them.
Oh yeah. Knockout City is the gameplay. It's good. It's just like that's it. Like there's not really much else other than that. Next up is Apex Season 10 Emergence. Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
Is Emergence just the name of the season?
Yes, because they stopped numbering the seasons. So like every season has a name, but as of Season 9, which was Legacy, they stopped numbering those seasons. So this is Apex Legends Emergence, and that's the only way you can find it.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, what is Emergence? Is this like a new mode? Like, what's happening here? And then I just couldn't find that answer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Avery. You gave me the answer. Good?
Yeah, so I am a big Apex Legends fan. I still chuck away in that game. My enjoyment of it has dwindled over the time as other games have come out, and I've had less time to just mindlessly play ranked at gold level and just get my ass railed because I don't have teammates. But what we know from Season 10 is that we are getting a refresh to the World's Edge map, which is just some map changes to that. From what leaks we've heard is that Sorting Factory is getting changed, which is an interesting decision to do. Because Sorting Factory is probably one of the best sections of that map, and I can't fathom why they're changing it. There are also some news that maybe Train Yard, which is garbage and needs to be reworked, is getting reworked, and then maybe Refinery. So we'll see what those changes are. The trailer showed off a bunch of lava, which I'm not excited for. Because some of the worst sections of the map are, I'm just going to walk on this lava and lose 10 health every second because this is just all over the goddamn map. We're also getting a new gun. I believe it's called the Rampage, and it's an LMG. If you're a Rampart main, cool with the new LMG. I don't really care. I'm hoping it's a light LMG and there's an interesting gimmick to her. It's not garbage. I'm hoping this isn't like this season Legacy where we got the Bocek bow and it started out as the most annoying weapon in the world because it was a bow and arrow that was hit scan that could hit you for like 70 something if it hit you in the head, which pretty much meant you can get 3 shot by this bow and you couldn't hear it because it was a bow. And it was not fun, and so they had to hard nerf that weapon. And then the last big part of Emergence is a brand new character named Seer, who is in a Nigerian-based legend who his main ability is that his passive ability is that when he's looking down his sights, he can hear heartbeats. So if you're a Rainbow Six fan, that's sort of like Pulse from that game, then his tactical is the ability to send out little drones that will track an enemy. So like essentially you use a heartbeat sensor to find the target, hit your tactical, track them, and then you'll get like real-time information on that enemy's movements. And then his ultimate is essentially creating a sphere around him that essentially gives him real-time data on the movements of all the enemies in the sphere. But if an enemy is not moving or slowed, you get no data on that. He sounds like a recon legend, which means he'll instantly be meta. But unless Bloodhound gets hard nerfed in this patch, which I doubt he's going to, I doubt they're going to, Fear is not going to be a viable character. Because he sounds just like a diet Bloodhound. I guess it's cool that he can track everyone in 30-second basis, but like Bloodhound can do that and then move 25% faster, and then like do it and then when he takes down a target, his ult lasts longer. Like Bloodhound is broken. He's officially broken, and he's been broken for so long, and he needed a nerf for the longest time. And I'm hoping we get a nerf in season 10. My Apex train is done. Let's move on.
Well, before we jump, I just wanted to say shout out to Epic for I'm gonna guess they pulled the people who made the Zima Blue episode from Love, Sex, and Robots.
Not Epic, Respawn.
Respawn, yeah, Respawn, right.
Yeah, it is confirmed they pulled those people.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's the first thing I noticed when they showed his reveal trailer. I was like, this is the same art style from that one Love, Sex, and Robot thing, or Love, Death, and Robots. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Good on them. The next game they showed was Lost in Random. I don't really have much to say about this. I don't see myself getting this game. I think it looks nice. I'm just not in love with the actual art style, the aesthetic. I think it just doesn't look good to me. Yeah, it was good. They showed a lot of gameplay, and if you are interested in that, it looks like it'll be a good game for you.
I'm vibing with it. I like the Tim Burton art style.
Okay.
In the world, there are a bunch of like artistic art styles I just don't find appealing. This wasn't one of them.
Okay. Jordan, anything you got to say about this?
No, I don't need to say. I saw this game. Skipped
it. Next up, they showed Battlefield 2042. Jordan, how you feel about this? What they showed?
A beautiful abomination. This new game mode is. When I saw those fuckers put the grenade with the smiley face pin.
Oh yeah.
How dare you? How dare you? How long have we been asking for a Battlefield Bad Company 3 where you're like, you know what? Put in a game mode, put in little. This is their workaround for the amount of time needed to make a new map. That's what I thought for this, because they said it's going to take about 6 months for them to have new maps in this game. Almost like half a year, 6 months plus. So in lieu of that, they are going to have this user-generated system to, keep us fed until then, with all these crazy-ass modes. Now, does it look fun? It does look pretty fun. I'll give them that. And the maps they are bringing in are bangers, if you're a Battlefield fan. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, this is their stopgap, and give DICE the time they need to make some pretty quality maps in the future.
Yeah,
I'll fucking see.
I'm
not Nazis versus Gulf War soldiers. That sounds fun.
I really liked what they showed. As a person who does not play Battlefield, I thought the knives versus defibs was a really cool idea, and apparently that was something that they had like a while ago or something like that. But yeah, like that whole thing where people can create custom game matches and they actually look fun to be a part of was just another pin for me. Like, oh, okay, I really think I might enjoy this Battlefield game. So good on it.
I mean, I wonder how much of an advantage those who use computers to make these maps compared to those using the map generator inside the application itself on their consoles.
Yeah.
So I think it may be more accessible for those using their computer desktops to make these new maps than the those using their video game consoles. So we'll see.
Avery? Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I'm not going to touch Battlefield 2042 because it doesn't have a single player mode. So yeah.
Oh, true.
It's cool.
Okay. And then last up, they showed the Dead Space teaser remake, teaser for the remake,
remake, remaster. We don't know.
Yeah, it's just Dead
a
Space.
Remake. It's from what we can tell, it seems to be a remake in the vein of RE remake, where it's like this is not a remaster. This is not just uptexturing it. This is them rebuilding the game up with new assets, new everything, and rejiggering parts of the story that may or may not have worked. This is the part of the this was probably the coolest part of the press conference. However, it was ruined by the fact that we all knew it was coming. So like there was absolutely no surprise for it to happen. Yeah. So like that sucked.
Or rumors.
That being said, I'm super excited, especially like Dead Space, especially Dead Space 2 is probably my favorite horror franchise. Dead Space as a whole is my favorite horror franchise in the video game period. Dead Space 2 is my favorite version of that. I like Dead Space 1. I have a lot of problems with Dead Space 1, and I'm hoping that in this reboot retooling that they can fix some of the story problems that they had between games and bring a lot of the mechanical combat stuff they had from 2 into 1 while maintaining the horror aspects of 1.
Gotcha. It'll be you and Sean playing that game because I am not touching that game.
It's funny. I have all three.
Marcus, yeah, you're right.
I have all 3 Dead Spaces I got via gold.
Yeah.
And as well as gold over time. Haven't touched either one. But I do want to play them though. I do want to play it.
Cool. That's great. That is 4 people. That's all we needed. Awesome.
One is incredibly horrifying. Like that is like they took all the the old school Resident Evil playbook and made that game. It's just like, oh man, fuck me. I hate this. Dead Space 2 is literally like, okay, you want me to deal with this horror world? Give me the ammunition to deal with this horror world. And that's Dead Space 2. Dead Space 3 is, fuck it. It's barely a horror game. This is RE5. It's a co-op experience. Here, have fun with actual guns now instead of like tools and shit.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. All right. Well, that was pretty much it for the EA Play. I wanted to give a big shout out to Austin Creed, who hosted that. He did an amazing job, and I want him to host everything now, like everything.
Dude, being a wrestler, man, he's born to act. I tell you what. I just wanted him to just DDT someone. Like, okay, thank you for coming in. Boom. That'd be great.
Like even the cringy points, like he handled it so well that it was actually funny for me. And it was just like, man, like this. You know what? Thank you, COVID, for putting us in a position where we had Austin Creed just realize his truest potential as a host. But no thank you, COVID, for killing all those people. All right, number 2, because there's no way to segue off of that. This comes from Game Rant. Popular Twitch streamer turns Pokemon Unite into a pay-to-win game. So we'll just cover this very quickly. So basically, what is his name? What the
Moist Critical.
Yeah, okay. Well, this guy, he basically figured out that he can just buy a bunch of stuff with his monies and essentially just boost up his Pokemon that he was using to play the game. And he was able to essentially pay to win in this game. It's kind of OP.
That's not a new concept, though, when it comes to games like this.
It's not, but it's one of those things where this is a Nintendo or is a Pokemon property. So it's kind of weird that they just didn't see this, but it's also not surprising because they probably just didn't think of it because they're definitely thinking of their games as kids games. And this is just a general problem when it comes to Pokemon games. Like they need to take the next step. And they kind of did it with Sword and Shield. but it's still they still need to climb that. They still need to climb that ladder. But yeah. I don't really got anything else really to say about this other than
Nintendo just needs to they just need to be cognizant of the free to play nature of this game in regards to its balance, because you can't do this in League of Legends.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty. I also I'm not really a fan of the streamer guy. I don't know him. I don't know his last name. I don't know his first name. But just watching the video, he definitely was the.
You don't like his demeanor, his cadence.
Yes. He is the kind of white person that I don't really jive with. But yeah, number 3. This comes from Kotaku. Google celebrates the Olympics, fuck the Olympics, with an entire RPG. Friday, July 23rd morning. Friday morning. That was me. If you open a new Chrome browser or new Chrome page and begin a search, you can click on the pixel art icon that starts the Olympic themed JRPG. JRPG, nice. Complete with anime sequence by Studio 4 Celsius. I'm going to say it's 4C. Played right in your browser. I heard a little bit about this, and apparently it actually saves progress or something like that.
What?
So, yeah.
Wow.
I want to say it was that, and if it is, that's awesome.
It's logged into your if you have a Google account, it's logged into your Google account. So theoretically, it could save anything you did to it to that Google account.
Makes sense.
Amazing.
Makes sense. It'd be hilarious if that save file was big enough to have you need to update your Google Drive to the higher account.
It would have been awesome if this was also on Stadia. But let's move on.
You make a fantastic point there. Number 4, this comes from Windows Central. Amazon's New World is brutally bricking RTX 3090 graphics cards. That is unfortunate. So reports on the New World subreddit indicate that they are trying to launch New World while using the graphics card. It will sometimes cause it to completely fry, forcing those impacted to contact manufacturers for refunds or replacements.
That they won't be getting for the next 5 to 6 months.
That is
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Number 5. This comes from GameIndustry.biz. Tencent to buy Crackdown and Sackboy developer Sumo in a $1.3 billion deal. That's wild.
I didn't know Sumo was as big as a development team as it was.
All I thought, number of people.
The number of people, number of studios.
All
I've heard is Sumo Digital, and that was because they made the Sly Cooper game, and I'm like, oh, I love this team, and then they didn't make any more Sly games, and I was big sad. But when I looked this up and saw there was like 10 different individuals, like under just the Sumo banner, and then there's other studios next to it, I'm like, wow, this 1.3 sort of makes sense now.
Jesus. I had no idea either. Tencent already owns 8.75 stake in the UK game developer. If agreed, Sumo will be the latest public UK games company to be bought for over $1 billion following EA's acquisition of F1 developer Codemasters earlier this year. That's crazy. Tencent is just buying everything up, man. I don't know. I guess we'll see their master plan sometime in 2050, 2025. I don't know.
Take over the gaming industry.
This is just a rough rundown of what Tencent has stock in right now, just in gaming. They have in a Canadian company called Kia Entertainment, which they own the majority of, minority stake in Bohemian Interactive, which is a Czechian organization. Supercell in Finland for 84%. They own 3.8% of Remedy, 22.53% of Dontnod, 5% of Ubisoft, a minority stake in Voodoo, which is a French studio, a majority stake in Jaeger Development, which is Germany, a Hong Kong development team called Liu for 100%, 2 Japanese studios, Marvelous and Pocket Gems, for over 20% each. They own a stake in Platinum. They don't tell you how much, but they own some of the Platinum games. A New Zealand organization called Grinding Gear Games, 80%. Norway, 100% Funcorn. It goes on, Netmarble 17%, which is a mobile game studio. Paradox Interactive, which is 5%, which is Swedish. Sumo, they just got Sumo now. Riot, 100% of Riot. Epic, 40% of Epic. 5% of Activision Blizzard. They own some of Discord and some of the Roblox Corporation. That's just in gaming investments.
That's crazy. Ah, jeez. I mean, that's a good way to pull money in, right? If you just throw your dick everywhere, you're bound to have some kids. Anyways, yeah. So number 6, this comes from IGN. Netflix will focus on mobile games first, won't charge an additional fee. Interesting. Netflix also revealed that in its early stages, the company will be focusing on mobile games. Yes, yes, yes. According to Netflix, the streaming company says it views gaming as another new content strategy or content category for us, similar to our expansion into original films, animation, and unscripted TV. Netflix also added that when games do launch on the platform, it will be included in members' Netflix subscription at no additional cost, similar to films and series. That's cool. What are these games gonna be?
Mobile games. It's Apple Arcade.
Yeah,
which is
that's gonna be weird. Okay.
I mean, I don't see how it could feasibly work considering Netflix isn't an app because Netflix can run I don't see how it can feasibly work in the same way that Apple Arcade does, because Apple Arcade is usually tied to a device that fucking has memory that you can store data on. While Netflix is a streaming service that can be streamed from my TV, which has no external memory attached to it. So I don't know how this is gonna work, and they don't want to do streaming. So
yeah, this is gonna be. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it be a thing where their games in quotation marks are really, really light footprint games, like a Flappy Bird kind of thing, or like Fruit Ninja kind of thing.
If they're smart, you could play their games while you're watching their shows.
That would be or like the PlayLink thing for PlayStation, where they had the mobile. Is it PlayLink?
Yeah, it's PlayLink. But but feasibly, if I'm watching a Netflix show, I could be doing X dumb game in the background.
Right. Yep. Okay. Well, last quick hit for the day. This comes from IGN. District 9 developer Neill Bloomkamp is working on a AAA multiplayer shooter. Blomkamp won't be drawn into saying more about the game and makes it clear that it does not have any overt connection with any of his movie work. Although he does allude to a possible setting. It's gonna be into an internment camp. Awesome. Blomkamp says, I think the idea of near future science fiction is something that is really interesting conceptually as well as from a visual and design point of view. That's my favorite zone to be inside of.
I just want to know if I will have a Chappie skin.
Of course. Multiplayer shooter. I feel like...
What is it?
Cool, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, multiplayer shooter sounds less interesting than what George R.R. Martin's doing with Elden Ring. That being said, if you're telling me that you're giving Neill Blomkamp carte blanche to quote unquote make your world and create your Bible for what your world exists in, that's pretty cool. Because we can make jokes about Chappie all you want, but he's probably one of my favorites. I wasn't
joking. I was dead serious.
Okay, I couldn't read the emotion in that statement, so I
want to have a Chappie skin. Chappie was great.
Okay. He's one of my favorite science fiction. He's one of my favorite science fiction directors out there currently. And if you haven't seen some of the low budget stuff he's done with his Oats studio, then you're sort of missing out, because that's some of the most wild sci-fi I've ever seen in a long time.
Oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. This shit's gonna be wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the minute you say that, the first thing that popped in my mind was the the monster one that was in the like in the
under
forest,
the Vietnam one. The Vietnam one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that is one of the most wild. I've never been so angry than that not being a full movie in my entire life than that story.
Oh my god. Oh, I just went from like a 3 to like a fucking 23. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. All right. I'll look forward to see what that turns out to be. Okay, so with that being said, we are going to wrap this podcast up with a quick what we have been playing. So, Jordan, what have you been playing?
Just finished up Psychonauts 1. And
All right.
man, platformers can get pretty sweaty in the past. I mean, like the last third of it, when they really, it'd be really incredibly precise of your character and balance and shit like that. And like a little bit of jank was in there, so like there was some unforgivable situations where it like knock you back your progress and shit like that.
Yeah,
that was tough. But it was overall it was a fairly enjoyable experience. And as I see more previews of Psychonauts 2 and noticing so many people who haven't played Psychonauts 1, now I'm just happy to have a bit of a baseline in terms of expectation. But in terms of its storyline, it does seem very much so removed from the events of Psychonauts 1, especially how it ended too.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a fun game.
There are at least two games between Psychonauts 1 and 2 that might give you some information on what's going on with the differences.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they released a VR game. I'm pretty sure they released a small indie chapter after the fact. I know the VR game is for PlayStation VR, but I'm probably can get it off for other platforms.
Yeah. Okay. And what else? What else you been doing, Jordan?
Playing Bloodroot. Just finished that. That was probably took me a couple nights, and it was fun. It was a tongue-in-cheek style comedy, but a very dark story too. Like a lot of murder, betrayal. But the characters, though, was kind of like that Banjo-Kazooie type, type thing. Reading the text was a pretty fun story text. And they at the last moment they do kind of let you let loose, in terms of all of what you've learned over the course of the game, and they finally reward you with like a pretty elaborate final sequence.
Oh wow!
That was fairly satisfying. So I'm interested. I think the developer was Paper Cut something, I forgot. But I'm interested in seeing what else they make in the future. Also, I purchased Death's Door. Got that for the Xbox Series X.
Because it's not on Game Pass.
No, it's not on Game Pass. It's not on Game Pass. It was I decided to redeem my Microsoft points to bring it down to $10. And I said that it was for people that don't fuck with Dark Souls and Demon Souls. Like it reminds me a lot of those games, at least based on what I've watched of them. These sort of like, Let's Plays and stuff. But yeah, finding shortcuts, like you have a certain amount of life each stage.
Is it more of a Zelda-like than
it's more like
Souls?
a Zelda. It's just
Okay,
more.
okay.
I'm playing Death's Door as well right now, and it is very much just a Zelda on hard mode.
Okay.
The only real, because I don't consider Souls games quote unquote difficult. So like I don't really ascribe that moniker onto it. That being said, the only mechanic that's vaguely Souls-like is that there are two ways you can regain health. You can return to the overworld, or you can exchange seeds that you can find on the ground at certain pots to get health, and that's vaguely bonfire-esque, but like it's not really corollary. Yeah, like you find seeds on the ground, and then every once in a while you'll find just a pot of dirt, and you can plant the seed in the ground and cause the plant inside the seed to bloom into a plant, which you can use to restore your life.
Gotcha. Continuing, Jordan.
Well, yeah, I think about like I'm not too far into it. Like basically, you have 3 bosses you have to take care of, and like you're kind of like this death dealer essentially as a crow, and you must collect souls as a type of currency. So there's like these 3 major souls you have to capture, but you find out that there's like this void like this death void that this one older crow is trying to unlock, and you're kind of caught up in their bullshit. But so far, I am enjoying it. It's beautiful, like
Kind of sounds like Loki to me, if I'm gonna be honest.
We'll see. But yeah, like upgrading your attributes, via your striking capability. There's pickups in terms of melee weapons. So as it continues, it doesn't seem like a super long game, but I am interested to see how the story unravels. And finally, I've been playing UFC 4. I don't do sports games too much, but I had a bit of a sports game, tinge right now. I'm getting into golf games, getting into the NHL games. But UFC 4 is hilarious in terms of how gruesome your knockouts can be. Kicks to the face. But one of the more fun aspects of UFC, of this game, is the career mode. And you set yourself a certain amount of weeks for your next fight. And during that time, you can focus on sparring. You can focus on social media. It doesn't matter how good I do. Fuckers still talk shit about my character. And I take this shit personally. They're like, oh, my character's name is Gina Anderson. And her style is kickboxing. Okay. So she already has a base value in striking and takedowns and kicks. So but if you were to do judo, if you do jujitsu, you'd have like mid-level striking and dodging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But during your weeks, you have to determine how your time is allocated. So if you allocate too much time in social media, your fitness will go down. You focus too much time on sparring, your notoriety goes down. You lose sponsorships. So it gets very addicting at one point, but sometimes you have to turn down some fights because you can go against like a Amanda Nunes. I think that's one. I think it's one of the top people right now who's in this version of it. She will fuck you up quick. I had to restart a couple times because like there's just some characters that have certain moves and certain skills that you can't block. You're not strong enough. You cannot defend against them.
Right.
And you can get hurt so bad. You can get like a long-term injury and shit like that. Like give you shell shock.
You can't like break a bone or anything, right?
Oh, you can totally fuck up a bone. That take you out for weeks upon weeks on end. You lose sponsorships. Some of them
can't show it in game.
It's gross. It is gross. Like you can see you can see your leg. If your leg defense isn't good, you'll see your legs like contort in the wrong direction, and that can be a long-term injury, which requires a lot of money because you do get in-game funds.
Yikes!
But instead of going into sponsorships and other deals, it'd have to go into you remedying your injuries. But it's fun. I'm actually literally about to go into the title fight right now, and yeah, whoever the person I'm going against is the number one ranked, and we'll see if homegirl survives. I mean, I'm gonna be in her corner like, you got it, girl, but just remember to block and dodge.
Have you seen $1 Million Baby?
No, I haven't seen that in a minute.
Okay, the euthanasia joke won't work.
Oh.
That's incredibly dark.
But that's what I've been playing.
All right, Avery, what you been playing other than Death's Door?
Pretty much just Death's Door. I think I have the exact opposite opinion of Jordan. I don't think I've been as bored as I've been in the game in a long time.
Oh wow!
I think the game is mechanically fine. I think the story and presentation is fine. I just find the experience of playing this game incredibly boring.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's probably just the type of game it is. Like when Jordan's talking about the story, it's not a very involved story. Like they're not loads of characters with intense backstories and like vocalized dialogue. It's like every maybe 10 minutes or so, you'll find an NPC who will give you a line or two of dialogue to just give context to what's going on in the story. And so I don't find the story that involved or interesting. And so I'm just in autopilot right now. I'm 27% done with the story. I've already beaten one of the essentially large soul that you want. And I'm in the current place of debating whether I continue this game as it is now or I go back and get my Bloodborne Platinum.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm also
All right.
playing on PC.
Okay. Maybe the story is better on console. No? Okay. So things I've been playing. So I dabbled into the Witcher mobile game because I was like, let me check this thing out. It's basically Pokemon Go, but instead of Pokemon, you got monsters. Instead of Pokeball, you got a sword, and you just get them things up. Um, it's I did a tutorial, and it was like very much so an outside game, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going outside. So I did a tutorial, finished the tutorial, and I haven't been on that game since. The other game I've been playing is Genshin Impact. Now I mentioned this like either last week or the week before that I'm gonna jump into Genshin Impact just because they have this new update and it's fun. You know, it's something to do. I've been playing it now a bit more regularly, and then they just dropped the news that Aloy is actually coming to the game, and I'm just like, I mean, I was planning on sticking around, but now I'm going to build me a little base camp and really be here. So, Aloy is going to be coming. Well, Aloy and her weapon is coming separate. So, the weapon's coming September 1st, then again November 24th or something like that. And then Aloy's, I think, might be coming soon after the bow. Anyways, she's gonna be a cryo user, which has no bearing on anyone who doesn't play the game, but it's actually pretty cool. She's also gonna be, because she has a bow, she's gonna be a ranged person, which is also great because they need more ranged people. And she's gonna be free, which is really great because this is a free to play game, and the gacha system is centered around weapons and characters. So to get a free character is awesome. Other than that, that's pretty much been it. Other than Gundam, of course, because Gundam is Gundam and I am Gundam. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we have been playing. We hope you enjoyed this podcast as much as we enjoyed making it, although the first half was a little dark and depressing. With that being said, if you missed any of this, you can find all details and more on our website at pressxtostarttv.com. Remember, you can catch all of our audio stuff on podcasts of your choice, our podcast services of your choice, and the videos, of course, is on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go there, like, and subscribe. And until next time, we hope you have a fantabulous day and be good to people around you. Don't be shitty.
Yeah.